Getting into business school is more and more competitive. Over the last 3 years, I think applications are up by about 50%. GMAT test taker numbers have reached record levels this year. That's driven by a number of factors. Of course, the economy is a counter-cycle. Many people think it's a good time to go back to business school. Demographics, we've got this Generation Y coming through, having finished their undergrad. There are more younger applicants being encouraged to consider business school, and the international pool of candidates is increasing. So it's as competitive as it's ever been, and I think you have to ask yourself what you can do to improve your chances of getting admission. Harvard and INSEAD just announced that they'd be increasing their class sizes to a little over 900, but HBS still receives over 9,000 applications, and as you say, Stanford receives 17 applications for every one. So the question for any candidate is, how do you stand out from that crowd? What do you do to distinguish yourself? And I think one thing to always bear in mind is that the only thing that you can control in that process is yourself. The other 9,000 applicants you need to push to one side and really just think about the one application, your own, and the quality that you can bring to that application. Some of the guidelines, I think, firstly, it's very important to know yourself. Schools are really looking to see if you have a sense of self-awareness, what you've already done, your achievements, and perhaps with that, where you're headed, what you want to get out of an MBA, and what you can bring to that MBA program. It's important, therefore, to do your research. A lot of the schools talk about fit, an appropriate fit with the different programs. No two programs are the same, though some of the goals that you might achieve could be similar. And they want to make sure that you've identified their school and that it's coherent with what you want to achieve beyond school. And through that entire process, you have to stay very organized.
Now, the interview process, what can potential students do if they want to ace their interview?
It's a great opportunity to tell your story. Schools will have different approaches. If you interview on the campus, perhaps that will be with a second-year student or one of the admissions staff. Of course, it's a two-way thing, and it's the chance for you to find out about the program. I think that's always part of a very healthy interview process. So do prepare questions, and also think about windows of discussion that you would like to open up. The discussion that you may be having, oh, that reminds me of the time that, and it can lead you towards a professional example that you wanted to share with them. They may not have seen the application, they perhaps have just got a copy of your resume. You need to be familiar with the material to be able to, again, talk very coherently about why it is that you're applying to school and very specifically what it is that you like about this particular program. There's no one definition of business talent. And putting together a well-rounded class at a top business school will reflect the variety of skills, leadership potential, academic ability. And of course, the schools are also looking to achieve diversity, whether through gender, minorities, through international and cultural diversity. And they will break it down to the various areas of your academics, GPA and GMAT. Perhaps a weak GPA can be compensated by a strong GMAT, and you know that you've got that in your hands. And then on the professional and personal side, the essays and your resume, and what other people will say about you in the letters of recommendation. The schools are spoiled with choice. They have the pick of the high achievers, many candidates that apply with a stellar GPA, a 90th percentile GMAT. They've got these fast career tracks. They seem to have everything on their side. I'd have to single out the essays as your real opportunity to convey what is unique about you and what you can bring to the business school. They break it down into certain areas in the essays. They want to talk about your career goals, and I think this one can actually make or break the application. Based again on your previous experience and expectations of the school, realistic expectations, you really need to demonstrate coherent career goals and be very specific. Nothing broad and saying, well, I'm thinking about consulting. They really do want to make sure that they can help you in your employment goals. And in fact, increasingly will involve the career services team to make a decision about your employability and how coherent your ambitions are. It's very important to be yourself, be authentic. All too often, I think candidates try to provide answers that they think that the schools would like to hear. It doesn't work. They're people persons, and they really want to find out what your story is. Why this school? It's competitive, and obviously they compete with other programs. And if they're going to offer you a place, I think they want to be confident and reassured that you've identified what it is that is special about their program.
Any pitfalls that potential students should avoid during the application process?
There are a couple that spring to mind for the essays. Making sure that you answer the question. You know, if they ask for a non-professional example, don't provide something from your work environment. A very common essay will ask you to describe a failure and why. And candidates get caught up in describing that failure, of where it was, when it took place, even what the weather was like outside that particular day. And they completely ignore the real key to that question, which is what you learned from that experience that you would then be able to bring and share with the other classmates. So always, always answer the question.